This is part of the Rift Valley province. The Rift Valley as we have known it for decades. It's a vast land where crops flourish under the cool, rainy climate, where animals roam the land in confidence as they graze on the hills and the slopes, and where small shopping centers bustle with activity as people go about normal life, determined and focused as ever. The spectacular Rift Valley is a valued province in Kenya. It is the largest and the most populated. It is also the most economically vibrant, producing the country's largest volumes of tea, maize, wheat, horticulture and livestock, and earning the deserving title as the national food basket. The happy laughter of children, the loud chatter of hard-working mothers struggling to support their families, and the humming of tractor engines were common sounds in the villages of parts of the Rift Valley. These were sounds of vitality and harmony from the captivating hills and the valleys of the province. A province where different communities coexisted and thrived under its hospitality. This is Masharia's home, and like many Kikuyu families living in the Rift Valley, this is the only home he knows. He has lived here since 1958. He went to school in this region, got his first paycheck on this very soil, got married here, and all his children, now in college and high school, were born in this very house.
Tumekaa na hao majirani zangu kutokea wakati wote. Shamba tumenunua hapa. Shamba lilikuwa la muhindi, tukanunua shamba hili pamoja na wenyeji ambao wanakaa area hii. Watoto wangu wamesomea hapa, hawajui mahali pengine popote. Licha ya sisi kuwa Wakikuyu, hatuna na tuseme na property ama mahali pengine kule Central Province ama mahali pengine popote.
A stone's throw away from Masharia's home is the Ngetich homestead, a Kalenjin family of 8. Their mother is popularly known as Gogo to both her grandchildren and Masharia's children. Gogo means grandmother in Kalenjin. It didn't matter to Ngetich's family that Masharia's ethnic background was different. They have lived in harmony, tilled the land in peace, and brought up families together.
Hapa pale tuliishi hapa nikiwa mdogo. Tulikuwa na jirani yetu wakina Macharia. Akiwa mdogo kabisa. Alikuwa anaishi katika jirani yetu hapa hivi. Tuseme sasa hata nikiwa na mwaka karibu 30 na kitu. Tulikuwa tunaishi nao. Wakiwa kuna Macharia na kama wakiwa Chondoni, tulikuwa nao.
A visit at Gogo's for a cup of tea is a long-standing tradition. To the Masharias and the Ngetichs, who started living as neighbors more than 50 years ago, neighborliness developed into friendship, and the lasting friendship flourished into a unified village, one that spoke the same language. Watching Masharia talking to Gogo in Kalenjin, it's difficult to say who her child is and who isn't. December 2007. The sound of the music suddenly changed. After a relatively peaceful general election, a dark cloud descended on the country. A disputed presidential election result between the Orange Democratic Movement and the Party of National Unity led to chaos that disrupted life across the country. The Rift Valley bore the brunt of the violence. Cars were burnt, Houses were set on fire and people were displaced. Neighbors turned against each other in an orgy of violence that set Kenya aflame and inflicted deep pain on its people. The fleeing residents took refuge in churches spread across the dioceses of Nakuru, Kericho and Eldoret.
We had also evacuation from the field. Those who were surrounded, we had to do evacuation, we brought them here. And we, in all the parishes in town, we had, every parish was hosting people. The main is mostly Kikuyus were here. And the interesting is that the priests here was from Kalenjin, and myself Kalenjin, but we were hosting the Kikuyus, but it's to show a sign of the church beyond the boundaries of ethnicity.
The churches became a holding ground for thousands of internally displaced persons. In Naivasha, the situation was impounded further when cases of revenge attacks sprung up. The deteriorating humanitarian conditions required urgent attention. The Catholic Church, with the help of Catholic Relief Services, CRS, moved in to provide emergency relief assistance.
CRS is Catholic Relief Services, and we're the official Overseas Relief and Development Organization of the United States Catholic Church. And we work in about 100 countries around the world, but have been here in Kenya since the 1960s. The Kenya program itself is a pretty wide program. We support various types of projects.
From experience, the Catholic Church knew it had a much bigger role and a difficult task ahead. Setting up camps and providing aid was a temporary solution. The best action was to restore peace as a matter of urgency and return the harmonious coexistence that different communities in the region had enjoyed over the years. The building blocks to peace and reconciliation had to be initiated to end the violence and restore normal life. It was challenging. It was a daunting task, but it had to be done because there was no substitute for peace and reconciliation.
We call it the Rift Valley Amani Project. So this peace project was designed to help promote peace amongst the communities or the tribes that had disagreed on issues to do the post-election. So the peace program was initiated in early May of the year 2008. And we designed programs together or activities together to help reach the community.
I mean, we support peace building because it's core of what we do, is helping to create a peaceful and just society. And so we would not want to shy away from peace building. We're going to be actively engaged in trying to create and support organizations like the diocese in creating a peaceful and just society.
Even as the Rift Valley Amani Project team burnt the midnight oil to find an acceptable peace formula, for women like Paulina, time was of the essence and peace was all she needed. A Kalenjin living among the Kikuyu ethnic group in Subukia, she had suddenly lost her beautiful home. The only memories of her former peaceful life in Subukia were pictures of her wedding dotting her temporary shelter in Kericho, a far cry from her previous house. The same was the story for families camping in different centers in Nakuru, Kericho and Eldoret. They were all desperate to restore their dignity and their lives. Meanwhile, various leaders throughout the country and beyond were spending sleepless nights searching for a viable, lasting solution. Bishops under the umbrella of the Kenya Episcopal Conference, together with other interreligious leaders, played a key reconciliation role at national and provincial levels. This was done through interfaith prayers, press releases, peace campaigns, and opening space for dialogue. In Eldoret, Bishop Cornelius Korir fully understood the agony of local communities and the challenges facing the church in giving them hope. Even as he presided over Mass, the responsibility to restore calm and provide an atmosphere for peace and reconciliation was weighing heavily on him. He has, over the years, amassed a lot of experience in peace building at the grassroots level in the Eldoret region of Kenya. He used a homegrown peace model he had created through his experiences and brokered peace between the Pokot and the Marakwet communities that has now lasted over 10 years.
So do you think if an area is fighting for, like some cattle rustlers, the issue is cow, so you have to find ways of promoting this cow. You don't remove the guns from them, but how do you promote the cow and development of that area? Let them come out with their own proposal.
The Rift Valley Amani project is putting the bishop's homegrown peace model into a peace book titled Amani Mashinani to be used as a model or reference material for building lasting bridges in conflict areas. For greater success, the Rift Valley Amani project team had to develop a chronological peace strategy. It had to be very effective, a grassroots-driven initiative, supported by local people and inspired by the desire to reclaim a flourishing, productive, and respectful life. Hell had broken loose during the violence. Some lost loved ones, some were maimed for life, and others were also sexually abused. One of the Rift Valley Amani project strategies was to get psychosocial support for various trauma victims. Counseling was done in camps and villages. The peace-building process had to be sensitive and meticulous. The project needed foot soldiers. Respected men and women of conviction were drawn from each different local community. These community members were then trained so that they could be empowered to spread the gospel of peace and act as catalysts for dialogue in their villages. The training of trainers on conflict transformation was critical in building the capacity of local community members to undertake this challenging task. The trainings took place in Nakuru, Kericho, and Eldoret. Mora, who hails from Lelu in Kericho, was amongst those trained and has embarked on promoting peace dialogue in her region.
Ile amani ambayo tumepata tudumishe hivyo. Na tumerudiana kabisa. Amani iko na hata.
The other Rift Valley Amani project strategy was to conduct community peace meetings at every village. The community meetings started off with intrapersonal, intra-ethnic dialogue, whereby the different warring ethnic groups met on their own to discuss the need for peace and its value and seek dialogue strategies for approaching the other community.
Something very interesting about this approach is it is community owned. It is done at the village and all members of the community participate.
Then, inter-ethnic dialogue followed, with different ethnic groups now sitting together to dialogue on the different ethnic resolutions on the peace process and the way forward.
What I felt was the challenge was to bring the two different camps, you can say, together. So there was that mistrust. To speak together, to speak out, you see. Also fear that people should speak freely, not fear that, okay, maybe whatever they are giving, the future giving is going to be used against them, something like that.
Tukaanza tarehe 4 kikao cha kwanza, tukaendelea kupitia kanisa. Mkutano ya kwanza na ya pili mpaka ya tatu ilikuwa mbaya. Mpaka maelewano ikuje kurudi.
Through the project, inter-ethnic dialogue has been encouraged at different levels for deeper effect. The project team, coordinated by respective church dioceses, promoted youth-to-youth discussions, woman-to-woman conversations, and elder-to-elder talks, bearing in mind that each group had complex predispositions in the ways they understood one another and in the manner in which they interpreted issues.
Na inatufaa tujue ishara ambazo tulizipata pale mwanzo mpaka tukaja kufikia mgorogoro. Ili tukishajua zile ishara tujaribu kukinga.
The Catholic Diocese provides counsel to the project, and they hold coordination meetings to review the progress of the project. In Molo, Nakuru, The community fully understood that for any peace initiative to succeed, the youth had to be fully involved. They are the first to take up arms and rush to the combat zone to defend community interest or simply to cause trouble. Indeed, only a few months ago, youth from different ethnic communities couldn't see eye to eye. Today, they have been united by their passion for football, and they are using the sport to reach out to each other in the model youth-to-youth peace sports.
Wakati wa clashes hatukuwa tunaongeleshana na players wa kabila zingine. Lakini saa hizi players wa timu yangu kuna Wakikuyu, kuna Wakale, wote wanacheza pamoja, wanaongeleshana.
That sport is a powerful unifier is certainly not in doubt. In another Rift Valley Amani project strategy, communities were asked to identify peace connector projects they would be keen on implementing to cement the peace dialogues. The connector projects aimed at enhancing inter-ethnic relationships while addressing the common needs of both communities, leading to communities choosing different projects aligned to their needs. While peace is not an end itself but a process, some of the gains in the process have become visible. The happy laughter and chatter of local community members in Kericho cuts through this quiet and windy day. It's a clear testimony of a desire to rekindle the spirit of good neighborliness and the unity that has existed for decades in the area. There is no better way to demonstrate the desire for peace than to hoist it up on a flagpost and tell it to the world. They are rehabilitating a health center destroyed in the post-election violence as their Peace Connector project. The health center has been renamed Amani Clinic.
Watu wa diocese wale wanatusponsor kwa upande wa peace. Walipokuja hapa tukawaelezea ile shida tuko nayo. Basi wakasema waje waende wajaribu. Walipojaribu kweli Catholic wametusaidia. Dispensary imekuwa renovated. Tangi imejengwa.
During the violence, the Kikuyus in Yamombi and Eldoret could not cross the Lemok River that acts as a boundary into the Kalenjin side of Kapteldon and vice versa. These two communities have now joined hands and chose to rehabilitate a rural access road that linked the two villages as their Peace Connector project. 40 youth from each side were chosen to construct the road.
So wakati sasa kufanya kazi ikawa sisi kuna vitu wako wamenunua. Kampuni iko imenunua mambo na tools, vijiko, uma, majembe, no, haiko imenunua. Lakini sisi wenyewe tulijitolea. Sisi tunabeba kijiko, panga, majembe. So tukiwa pale kazini, hakuna ati mambo ya kusema hii jembe ni ya Kalenjin. Wacheki. Hii kijiko ni ya Kalenjin ama hii kijiko ni ya Kikuyu. No. Sisi tunatumia kama nyumba moja. Wacheki.
And elders from both ethnic sides were to supervise and oversee and bless the project. By sharing responsibilities, the two communities are appreciating the power of unity and the fruits that can be achieved through cooperation and teamwork.
In fact, huwa tunatembeleana vijana wa Kapteldon na wa Yamombi. Huwa tunatembeleana. In fact, saa zingine tunapelekana lunch. Wanakuja huko tunaenda kwao.
Appreciation of each other's culture provides a powerful basis for understanding and reducing mistrust and suspicion. The peace model could not have been complete without inter-community cultural festivals held in Kuresoi and Molo districts. The song and dances were not in vain. They were voices of hope and sounds of peace that echoed throughout the villages. These communities are in the process of constructing a community-owned cultural center to be like a museum of different ethnic groups so that members of the community can visit the center to learn and appreciate the diversity of cultures across the board. With the cultural understanding, this community now works together, eats together, and dances together as a community as it slowly learns to develop the trust that had been broken.
When we told them what were the things that made them to cross each other's rights, they told us one, this community undermines us, they undermine our culture, they stereotype us this way. So we had to design an activity to do what? To help them understand themselves.
Although steered by the Catholic community, the Rift Valley Amani project realized that every member of the community was instrumental in this peace process. The project organized interfaith prayers, bringing together people from a variety of faith groups for purposeful supplication in key areas. 1 year after the post-election violence, life is slowly returning to normal in parts of the Rift Valley, thanks to projects like the Rift Valley Amani project.
Na tuliporudi hapa amani iko shwari vile. Wao wenye walitufukuza walikuwa wanatuogopa sana, hata watoto walikuwa wanaogopana, hata mimi nilikuwa nawaogopa. Sasa tulikaa kama maadui. Lakini mikutano ya amani ilipoanza kufanywa hapa na pale, kila siku amani ikarudi, na sasa tumekaa na amani, tunatembeleana, kanisa tunaenda pamoja, sokoni tunaenda pamoja, hata mashule watoto wameanza kuchanganyikana.
The road to peace, however, is never easy. It is full of challenges and requires sacrifices. It may be uphill, but it remains the best option for a better, productive, and meaningful life. It can be navigated successfully through peace models that emphasize on building and sustaining intercommunity relationships, and pursuing measures that prevent, resolve, and mitigate the effects of violent conflicts. This requires dismantling of unjust structures and the establishment of constructive relationships at local, national, and global levels.
I'd also like to personally thank the supporters of the project, especially Caritas Australia and their supporters, AusAid. And really, they gave the financial support and technical assistance to really help make this project a success.
CRS, the Catholic Diocese of Eldoret, Nakuru, and Kericho through the Rift Valley Amani project have indeed taken active steps at the local level towards this realization.